So some very small number of you may remember the video I did wherein I removed my pistol brace off of this bad boy because of the fine ATF and their stupid rulings. Well, there have been some injunctions regarding pistol braces, more for the gun rights and individual groups, but very, very recently a nationwide injunction just got put forth by a federal judge. I'm going to talk about it while I put my pistol brace back on this. Stick around. So last week, a federal judge passed down a nationwide injunction, like I mentioned in the intro. And yeah, I could have probably swapped this out earlier. I am a member of FPC. I've donated to them. And GOA, not currently, but I have, and I probably will donate to them again. But what stopped me from swapping this out until now was there was, I don't know, like in my mind, still a little bit of swirl. And look, I get it. That's on me. Like probably any one of you, heck, most of you probably never complied, and God love you. But I'm a extreme rule follower. I realize Marbury versus Madison, I'm down. I get it. But for me, I was going to hold off. And it was my general thought that sooner or later that ban would, or the changing pistol brace rule would get enough stir to get it probably up to a high enough court to make the ATF get their hands smacked about, hey, we just made a rule that just happens to be a law. So hopefully this one sticks. And in fact, if anything, I think this might have some very entertaining implications when it comes to at least certain parts of the NFA, but that's wishful thinking, it's hopeful thinking. But until then, I'm gonna put the old SBA tactical pistol brace back on my pistol AR-15 because this is serving in a few different roles, and obviously there's a suppressor on it, which makes my life very nice if I do have to discharge it, even with hearing protection on, but especially without hearing protection on. I don't have to tell you guys, man, a 10.5-inch gun is frigging loud. It is stupid loud. I'll probably cut in and just do some voiceover with a reading of some of the salient parts of the ruling that got set forth, and I will link to that. I'm not the first to report this, by the way. It's been broken by numerous sources, including Mr. Guns and Gear. If you're not subscribed to him, you totally should. He does really good stuff, not just when it comes to the gear stuff, but legislative stuff as well. He's a really good dude, and his content is top-notch. I digress. I'll link to his video on this, and I will link to the actual ruling in the description. So if you're like, well, I know this clown is telling me stuff, but I actually want to read it in real text, I got you. Don't worry. Anyways, let me just pull this apart, put the other one on, and then, like I said, I'll just cut into the readings. Here we go. The actual case is Britto versus ATF, and on February 7th of 2023, a motion for preliminary injunction was filed. As of last week, that injunction was granted on a national level. The court case mentions the National Firearms Act of 1934 and cites multiple cases that discuss the unregistered possession of these weapons that will, and I quote, inevitably cause violence, end quote. The ruling goes on to mention that larger handguns, due to weight and recoil, may be difficult to fire with one hand, especially for individuals with limited strength or mobility. The case mentions that for those individuals, a stabilizing brace may add support and improve accuracy. From 2012 to 2018, the ATF issued several classifications of stabilizing braces, concluding that a brace does not redesign a handgun to be fired from the shoulder. In other words, such configurations were not considered short barrel rifles or SBRs. But then the ATF became aware that newer braces, quote, began to include characteristics common to shoulder stocks, end quote. After the 2021 mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado, the ATF revisited this issue, and on January 31 of 2023, the ATF published a new rule that clarified the phrase designed, redesigned, made or remade, and intended to be fired from the shoulder. Under that new rule, the phrase now includes weapons equipped with a stabilizing brace that provides surface area. They include measures of weight, length, or length of pull, as well as marketing the likely use of such a weapon and what other features or accessories were included. In other words, it didn't clarify as much as add a lot of gray area. The injunction that was filed was granted on the following basis. 1, a substantial likelihood of success of this case on the merits. 2, a substantial threat of irreparable harm if the injunction does not issue. 3, the threatened injury outweighs any harm that will result if the injunction is granted. And 4, the grant of such an injunction is in the public interest. They go on to mention the case of Mock v. Garland and state that it provides substantial guidance, and they are simply using that as a basis for much of this decision. For those of you following along with Mock v. Garland case, that case was the one that generated some initial injunctions for members of Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Coalition, and obviously the plaintiffs in that case. For this case, Britto versus ATF, the plaintiffs are 3 decorated Marines that would likely be found in possession of unregistered SBRs should the rule affect them, thus potential irreparable harm. Mr. Britto in particular has a combat-related shoulder injury, and the stabilizing brace is quite helpful to him. The case goes on to discuss the Administrative Procedures Act and the public interest, but I won't go into great detail about that. The actual ruling is only 9 pages long and therefore not too difficult to get through if you want to read it all. I will, as mentioned previously, link it in the description below. I will, however, quote the conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, the court grants the motion and stays the rule in its entirety. See 5 U.S.C. 705 Texas v. EPA 829 F.3D 405, 435, and that's 5th Circuit 2016. So ordered, November 8th of 2023 by Matthew J. Kaczmarek, U.S. District Judge. What makes this ruling entertaining is that when the ATF inevitably appeals it, it will go directly to the 5th Circuit, and that's the court that has been handing the ATF multiple ass kickings already. So I don't see that appeal getting much traction. All right, so let's hope this one sticks, guys. I do have this pending SBR paperwork, and but that was like darn close to 28 days ago that I submitted it. I have no idea how long that's going to take. And meanwhile, this makes it much handier and much easier to use without some of those logistical nightmares. Also, I can take this across state lines without any sort of ATF notification. And even when this thing becomes an SBR, I'm going to have to send letters. There's more paperwork involved. So let's hope that not only this national injunction really sticks, let's hope some rulings go our way when it comes to these and when it comes to other parts of the NFA. That's really all I'll say, because like I said, it's wishful thinking on my part. I will say, guys, I don't even know if I'm going to try and monetize this video, because I think YouTube's probably going to tell me some very not choice words when it comes to trying to do that. But good luck to all of you guys. Godspeed. Take care. Stay safe. I will say this. If you've enjoyed any of my content at all, guys, I certainly would appreciate a like. And if you want to rake me over the coals for ever taking this off to begin with, guys, that's what the comments are for. I know my requiem for a brace, when I posted that, I had some guy very loudly, flounce and, announce his departure. This is not an airline. It's not an airline. You don't have to announce departures. For any of you I've offended, it kind of is what it is. If you're still watching at this point, I do appreciate you. And as always, guys, I will talk to you again soon.
Get 'em, Jay.